Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, I am being invited and pushed and pulled to speak on integration and embodiment, especially given the consciousness upgrades through the solar and the eclipse activity for the past days, weeks, months. But also, this is a continuation of yesterday's video on Neptune entering Aries consciousness, which is very funny to me. It is hilarious, actually, because I have very little recollection of what I even said in that video at all. So these are the times that we live in. Today, I am making a follow-up and a clarification. It's just very funny to that video. Anyway, so we are at the end of March, entering April. But it doesn't really matter because I am talking to the individual with the nervous system, with the consciousness, with the mental, emotional, physical body that this information applies to, regardless of the timeline. And I thought I would start with my definitions. I'm not sure if they're 100% correct, but I thought I'll define how I've been using these two words, integration and embodiment, just to kind of establish a common idea, right? So for me, integration is the physical matching of the nervous system primarily to the vibratory rate of the consciousness, the newfound consciousness, right? Because typically what happens, you have a breakthrough, either through an initiation, a revelation. It doesn't really matter how you broke through that limitation, let's just call it. You now have access to a different awareness that typically, right, vibrates at a higher rate. So then your nervous system has to physically harmonize, normalize to that frequency. And that's a lot of our ascension symptoms come from that regulation, trying to harmonize, right, and regulate. Then the next phase is embodiment, which is the interconnectivity of that through our mental, emotional, and physical body. That is in other words, the translation of that experience, of that breakthrough into wisdom, right? And what is wisdom then? The wisdom is the application, the capacity that we have for us to fully understand the experience, create a new persona, right? Because that translation has to happen through our mental, through our belief system. It has to upgrade. Our morality has to upgrade, which then in turn will upgrade our behavior, our capacity to modify our behavior, which then will change directly our personality, right? So that is embodiment. We are now that experience. We have embodied that consciousness. And once embodiment is complete, there's no more seeking. There's no more process. There's no more, let me think through this. It is me already. I have fully become it. And it is the new what is. So that's kind of how I'm using it. In the past, I have to admit, I used them interchangeably because it felt like the two are very close to each other. Personally, 3 years ago or so, I would have a breakthrough. It would take me about 3 months. I mean, I had probably a whole year of this, very much like clockwork. Ego death, and then it would take me 3 months. But what happened whenever we had a breakthrough before, the the consciousness would stay somewhere. It was available to us somewhere in our aura, but the integration would happen very, very little at a time because our nervous system was so limited in capacity that it could only process this much bandwidth, let's just say, right? And then you would embody that much bandwidth. The gradual process was so slow that you wouldn't necessarily see changes only within a year. It's like, oh yeah, I was a different person, right? But that process of 3 months, let's say, or let me go, okay, so your nervous system would integrate this much, and then you would embody this much, and then it would be capable to take more from that aura, right? Because the breakthrough was intense. Typically, you'd have a big aha moment. Let's just say there's a lot of power. You could just not integrate and embody that power all at once. It was in layers. And that's why it took 3 months. But over time, that process would take weeks, and then it would take months. So not too long ago, I started to realize that integration started to happen pretty much instantaneous to the consciousness breakthrough. And I thought at the beginning that, maybe I'm kind of imagining it, but I kept having enough proof that this was happening, and today I got a lot of clarity on that. So today it was so clear. No, integration with where we are now, and I'm talking to the right people here. It is happening also instantaneous. Our nervous system has the capacity to be available in the consciousness that is happening, the weather, the energetic weather that is happening. We have the capacity to be present with it, which in its own, that is humongous. Now, I'm not saying that we no longer will have ascension symptoms, right? That anxiety, that electricity, the buzzing, the dizziness, the aching. Sometimes we still have that, the not sleepiness. But what I'm saying is, at least we're still capable of being present in it, even if our system still has a little bit of a lag operating with it. We're still all fully in it. So, as another piece of evidence for me, yesterday we had a 10x solar flare. I had no idea. Or whenever, this weekend we had it, but I did not know. I could not tell at all. Last summer, I didn't need the news. I knew exactly what the sun was doing because my body would feel every solar activity that was going on out there. So for me, it was very surprising. How did I not know? Well, today I understand. My nervous system has such a large capacity. It is so vast. It is so trained, right, at different levels of vibration, that it can really truly work with this type of consciousness. Now, the real message here is in the next one, the embodiment, because embodiment is the present moment. And I want to say it's coming back now from yesterday. I was mentioning a vector. And what is a vector? Is force plus direction. Well, I'm defining it as force because I like, and by force I mean movement, momentum forward in a particular direction. But really, technically, a vector is magnitude, whatever it is, a quantity in a specific direction. And now embodiment is the vector. Embodiment is no longer happening automatically, right? Before the slogan was flow with it, let it happen, blah blah blah. The self, the higher self, had a lot more say. You're guided through this purpose, through whatever, more so from, let's just say, outside. It was still you, but it felt like a higher purpose, your higher self, right? Now, the oneness, oh, here's the other thing. There's no more delineation. It's coming back. Because there's no delineation within the space, within this consciousness that we are operating in, we are that. We have to give this energy, this wisdom, a direction. And the magnitude, this is where we have to become alchemists. We have to become the magician, because we can regulate that magnitude, right? So, because we are also our own power source. That's why the empowerment, it's coming back. The empowerment is our own power plant. Our relationship and the relatedness with everything and everyone is changing to an experience, truly, because we are independent on the external exchange of energy. Energy is being summoned, is being created and used on demand through this process of embodiment. But it has to be conscious. It has to come from the present moment. So embodiment is this regulation of the magnitude, because it is Aries. Energy is available, right? And the magnitude can be your own willpower. It can be your desire. You can define this magnitude and you can change it in however you need. You need to regulate that, the amount, the quantity. You need to quantify it and give it that direction. That is the new embodiment. If you're not regulating that energy well, you need to be very present in the body, because you can really create stagnation if you can summon a lot of that willpower and energy, but then you're not using it. And from an energetic, body work like Reiki, that energy can cause some crazy stuff in the body, especially because if it gets stuck in old blockages or whatever, it can truly create issues. So make sure that you are present and you learn to regulate that availability, right, of energy, and play with utilizing it. And truly, age is out the window. We just have to I feel maybe we still have to trick our mind a little bit in collecting evidence that, see, I can generate a lot of energy on demand through this instant integration of available consciousness, because there's no delineation in consciousness space. So you can go with your consciousness as above, with the body as below, whatever, if you need to call that something or anything. But it's happening as one, and the presence and yes, we have to be impeccable, but what's the other word? Intentional. We can no longer can just float. We can if we choose to, but then we have to be very careful with this, to not summon more energy if we're just going to float, right? But creation happens within you. You are creator creation. It is different. It is amazing. And it's here for real. And so I invite you to experiment with this. I invite you to translate it, to articulate it in the way that makes sense to you, to embody this wisdom in your system. And so, thank you so much. I appreciate this collaboration, and I will see you around. Thanks.